Chapter 4. The Journey. The dragoness did not know what to think about what had just happened. She had gone to the witch for answers about humans instead. The witch had given her a potion that turned her into a human, and then put her on a unicorn to go meet even more humans. How was she supposed to meet a human? How was she supposed to talk to them like equals when they had killed her family for fun? To kill her rising panic, she turned her thoughts elsewhere as the unicorn galloped through the forest. She began to examine her new human body. It was softer than her dragon form and was already starting to ache from all the bouncing and riding. She wasn't used to this mode of transportation. She didn't try to speak to the unicorn. It was of substandard intelligence, and she doubted it could understand her anyway. But it was curious how it seemed to know exactly where to go without any direction. Maybe it was under a spell from the witch. Perhaps the unicorn had been imbued with a finder spell. Whatever the case, the dragoness knew she was getting closer to a human village, and she still had no idea what she would do when she arrived. It felt like several hours had passed before the unicorn finally began to slow. As she looked ahead, she spotted a stream wide enough that it couldn't be jumped. The unicorn picked its way down the bank and waded into the water, which crept steadily up its legs. As the dragoness watched, the cold water reached her own legs, and she shivered. Halfway across, the water had risen to her knees, but soon began to recede. Once on the opposite bank, the unicorn stopped and lowered its head to drink. The dragoness, sore and thirsty, hesitated. What if she got down and the unicorn didn't let her back on? But her thirst won out. She reasoned that if the unicorn was enchanted, it wouldn't abandon her. Awkwardly, she swung one leg over and slid off on her stomach. It wasn't the most graceful dismount. In fact, she slipped on the muddy bank and landed squarely on her butt. She groaned, now covered in mud and even more sore than before. She got up, brushed herself off, and stumbled down to the water to drink and rinse. She had just begun to step back out of the stream when she heard a low growl behind her. She froze. What kind of creature made a growl like that? She didn't need long to answer. She turned to see a massive dragon standing across the stream. The water might have posed a challenge for a unicorn or a human, but for a creature that size, it was just a step. Her heart nearly stopped. She didn't recognize the dragon, and it was enormous. Already raw from the exhausting ride and overwhelmed by her vulnerable new body, she broke. A scream tore from her lips, loud and piercing, a sound she didn't even know she could make. She nearly fainted, but the dragon's eyes suddenly shifted from the unicorn it had been focused on to her. The unicorn chose that moment to bolt. The sudden movement caught the dragon's attention. With a lunge, it leapt for the unicorn, but the unicorn, fueled by fear and instinct, dodged and tore off into the woods, back the way they had come. The moment the dragon turned away, the dragoness turned human ran. She ran harder and faster than she ever had before. She no longer felt the ache in her muscles or the sting of her cuts. She felt only raw panic, vulnerability. She no longer had her tough dragon hide, her wings, or her claws. She was small and soft and entirely unprotected. She ran as night began to fall. The sun had already been low when they stopped at the stream, and now darkness was swallowing the forest. Still, she didn't stop. She couldn't see where she was going, only just avoiding trees by instinct and sheer luck. It felt like hours, though it could only have been minutes. Finally, she dared to glance back. Nothing. No dragon, no unicorn. No glowing eyes. She slowed, breath coming in harsh gasps, her panic slowly ebbing away. She took only a few more cautious steps when her foot caught on a root. She stumbled, screamed a feeble, broken sound, and then fell. Her head hit a rock. Darkness claimed her instantly.